TYKEN is an arcadey run-and-gun third-person shooter set on a nuclear-powered man-made planet. Your goal is to blast mutants, blast some more mutants, and eventually detonate the planet, taking all the mutants with it. Mutants. The game's deliberately aiming for a certain cheesy B-movie sci-fi horror atmosphere, and it at least nails that. There are tons of grotesque things to shoot, they blow up in spectacular displays of gore, there are suitably predictable plot twists that fit well within the general tone and setting. It's good, schlocky fun. But what about the actual game design? Well, it's a mixed bag, to be sure. TYKEN is a very straightforward work, where all the guns are instantly equipped colorful floating power-ups, there's no inventory to speak of, and the core gameplay loop is just slowly backing away from enemies while you tap the trigger button. None of that is bad in itself, of course. TYKEN aims to be simple, and it is simple, but unlike many other simple arcadey games, it distinctly lacks in challenge. During my 2 playthroughs, I only ever failed or even brushed against failure when I was deliberately goofing around. Slaying these mutants is a pretty mindless affair, and on average that's no problem because the levels are bite-sized. You get a quick burst of gory action, a silly cutscene, and then an environmental change. The environments are ugly, the shooting is basic, but it all moves so fast and is done with such good humor that it's hard to complain. Until the final stage. TYKEN's last level is a grueling, plodding slog that tasks you with trotting along the world's largest series of interconnected linear catwalks, shooting directly ahead at whatever enemy appears next on the horizon. And should you get bored or die, you'll be forced to restart from the beginning. Everything bad about TYKEN becomes so much more emphasized because of this. The brain-dead shooting isn't so fun anymore when you have to do it in one location in a straight line for what feels like an eternity. I estimate this trial would take around 15 to 20 minutes to complete properly. I've never done so myself. I died once, promptly said, "No, God, not again," and cheesed my way to victory by walking entirely around the enemies to reach the goal. This is a hard game to talk about, because I did enjoy it, but it's also a huge mess. It's clearly, obviously cobbled from pre-made assets, and while most of the time they're placed inoffensively, there are plenty of out-of-bounds exploits, environmental glitches, and just a general lack of polish. Then there's the lackluster game design, which fails to adequately stimulate the player's mind, the droning final level, and bleh. I'll let you make up your own mind, but regardless of whether I had fun, TYKEN has some serious problems, even going for $1.